Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Raw review for the 21st of February 2022. Actually, a show that had some stuff that I cared about, which for Raw is rare these days. But the build towards WrestleMania always kind of leads to that, at least to some degree. And if you're new here, we got over 2,400 of these, nearly 2,500 audios up available for you to listen to and check out old school, new school, and all points in between. My goal is to have the NWA Saturday Night Series, WCW Saturday Night Series, a couple more years of that done by the end of March, so stay tuned for that. Needless to say, as mentioned, the WrestleMania Raw and the SummerSlam era Raw are the times when Raw actually matters. For the most part, it doesn't matter the rest of the year. But this is, the month build to WrestleMania is a thing. Live results from the Elimination Chamber Fallout. Brock Lesnar appearing on the show's the big kind of takeaway. Brock Lesnar enters starting the show following the Elimination Chamber video package. Lesnar's in a happy mood and he's happy to be champion. He's wearing a thick sweater but admitted it's too hot, so he takes it off. Before he could say more, Paul Heyman interrupts. Lesnar warned him to stay on the stage, otherwise he'll get beat up. And then he refers to WrestleMania as winner take all, but warned Lesnar that he may not make it to Mania as champion. Heyman informed Lesnar that he's going to have to defend his newly won belt on March 5th at Madison Square Garden. Um, you know, um, he would have taken care of this if he were still representing Lesnar, but now that it isn't meant for Lesnar to be champion going into Mania. Lesnar already knew that he'd have to be at MSG on March 5th and is not worried about this at all. Heyman warned him that he'd have to face Bobby Lashley if past concussion protocol. If he didn't, he would find Lesnar a suitable replacement. Lesnar said that he's doing just fine without Heyman, and now he planned on being on Friday's SmackDown to reintroduce himself to Reigns. Heyman is unhappy with that fact. Kevin Patrick approaches Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens in the back. He wondered if they still have a path to WrestleMania. Owens reminded Patrick that they beat RK Bro 2 weeks ago, and Rollins beat Randy Orton last week, and they beat RK Bro again tonight. They'll get added to the tag team title match, which they'd win, which means they could do what they wanted at Mania. Maybe they'd even be challenging the Usos. Rollins laughed, and Owens said Mania would be stupendous because of them, and then they would have to wrestle in the dislike of Dallas, Texas. Dallas, Texas. Anyway, Raw Tag Team Champions Alpha Academy defeat the Street Profits in a non-title match 907. Street Profits get a bunch of offense, and Montez Ford tried to slam Otis. Otis fell on top of him for pinfall, and Gable held him down. Ford's foot preventing that. Alpha Academy also beat the Street Profits 2 weeks ago, so this is kind of back and forth booking. Patrick interviews Tommaso Ciampa about having to face Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode in unfamiliar territory. Ciampa isn't worried about that. Someone will fight with him. Finn Balor, Balor recalled past battles with Ciampa, but is happy to fight by his side tonight. Tommaso Ciampa and Finn Balor defeating Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode 9:18. Finn Balor hits a series of dives before a break, and then he's comfortably in control for the majority of the match. Ciampa makes a hot tag to Balor, runs wild until Roode cuts him off with a spinebuster. Ciampa catches Roode with a knee strike before rolling him up for pinfall victory. This is called an upset. We don't really know why. We go into the second hour of Miz TV. Miz insults the fans before complaining about Rey and Dominic. Claims that the fans need Rey to succeed because it made them feel better about themselves. Miz said he had something to fight with him about. Someone from a fighting family, someone who is dashing. Rey and Dominic interrupts. Miz claimed that Dominic was only there because of Rey, so Dominic got in his face and warned him not to say another word about his father. Miz then worried about this and proposes Mysterio face him and his new partner. Miz introduces his partner Logan Paul, so celebrity we're supposed to care about. Paul calls Rey a legend, but also said he had pool toys larger than him. Dominic then said he's a jerk for being with The Miz, and then they accepted the challenge. Paul and Miz attacked Mysterio and laid them out. Miz gives Ray a skull-crushing finale, and Paul does the same to Dominic in a crooked sort of way. Patrick interviews Chad Gable and Otis. Gable calls tonight's main event disappointing. RK Bro versus Owens and Rollins. Gable said at least RK Bro earned their opportunity, but Owens and Rollins just complained and got theirs. Gable mentioned that the odds of retaining would decrease if Owens and Rollins are added to the match, but they would retain regardless. Veer is still coming all these years later. He might want to see a urologist about some of these issues. Anyway, Rhea Ripley defeats Nikki Ash, 2:35. Why have them get dressed for this? Nothing to the match. Rhea Ripley wins with a Riptide. Announcers speak about Lashley and said it's unlikely he'll be cleared on time to face Lesnar in MSG, so a new opponent would need to be established. They go to break, letting us know the match coming up next. Shelton Benjamin comes out to his own music, but then he still had on Hurt Business colors. United States Champion Damian Priest defeats Shelton Benjamin with Cedric Alexander, 3:13. Why have them get dressed for this? Anyway, Benjamin distracts the referee while Alexander hits Priest with a running kick. Benjamin follows with an angle slam for near fall. Priest then follows up and receives a bunch of boos. Benjamin is from South Carolina. Benjamin hits a pay dirt, but Priest kicks out. Follows up with the Reckoning for the pinfall win. After the match, Priest gives Benjamin credit for fighting him like a man. Priest said that he's already beaten plenty of others, and that Benjamin's caliber, and he'd do the same at WrestleMania, and he'd be challenging for world champion deal here. Balor walks out and accepts the challenge. 24/7 champion Reggie enters before the break and cuts a promo following the break. Nobody goes after him during that time. Reggie then has something to say and promised that no 24/7 shenanigans would occur until he's done. He calls out Dana Brooke. Brooke enters. Reggie explained himself to her, and the crowd chants, "What at him?" Reggie then felt bad for what he'd done last week and apologized. He calls the referee down to the ring. He laid down and let Brooke cover him, but kicked out at 2. Reggie laughed at her and covered her. She covered him again, but he kicked out again. He let her cover him one more time, and she kissed him while they were down to keep him down, and she picked up the pinfall win. Truth jogged to the ring, but Reggie drop-kicked him out of it. Reggie then knocked Akira Tozawa off the apron and fell into Tamina's arms. Tozawa wanted to kiss, but she chucked him down. They ran after Brooke and Reggie. Third hour begins. Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch segment. Belair enters. The crowd is excited by this. Belair speaks about winning the SmackDown Women's title last year at WrestleMania. She puts over the Elimination Chamber. Lynch finally interrupts. Lynch gives her credit for main eventing WrestleMania, but says Belair is only able to do that because she did it first. Belair laughed and said she did it better. Lynch then said nobody's been able to take the title from her in 3 years and wished her a happy anniversary because it's 6 months ago that she beat Belair for the title in 26 seconds. How was that an anniversary? Anyway, Lynch accuses Belair of playing the victim. Belair then said she's no victim. Lynch claims that she's victim because the fans used to love her, but Belair turned on her. Belair said Lynch could play the victim or Belair could accidentally make her one. Doudrop's music finally hits, which means the segment is over. This whole thing just felt really forced. Anyway, Bianca Belair defeats Doudrop in 11:18, probably the best match Doudrop has had on the main roster in a very long while, if ever. Belair is distracted by Lynch on commentary, so Doudrop knocks her down, hits a crossbody on the outside of the ring. After the break, Doudrop goes for the cannonball, but Belair catches her and hits a spinebuster and a handspring moonsault. Doudrop then yanks Belair off the top and goes for a cannonball, but Baker moves. Doudrop then came back with a Michinoku driver. Doudrop then goes off the top, but Belair brings her down with a powerbomb, which popped the crowd. Belair follows up with KOD and gets the win. Lynch is disappointed by this. Edge promo. Edge's first appearance since the Royal Rumble. Edge enters to a big reaction, remembers wanting to hear the results on the radio from WrestleMania 3. His uncle Wayne told him that Hulk Hogan not only bodied someone Andre the Giant but beat him. Edge recalled experiencing his first WrestleMania as a talent, WrestleMania 14. That's how old I am, he said, and then 2 more years he got on the card, and he knew he had to put crazy performance that he did at WrestleMania 17 against two of the greatest tag teams of all time. He says, I'm thinking about you, Devon. He spoke about winning the first Money in the Bank ladder match, putting Mick Foley to a table and main eventing against The Undertaker. He congratulates Taker on his Hall of Fame ceremony. He then thought WrestleMania 27 would be his last match and retire as world champion. For many people, that would have been enough. Not for him. For 10 years, he'd waited and busted his tail to get back in the main event. Many people dreamed about winning the Stanley Cup, the Super Bowl, or performing on Broadway, but he only dreamed about WrestleMania. He wanted the fans' energy. Edge needed WrestleMania, but WrestleMania also needed Edge. He laid out a challenge to anyone in the locker room to step against the best in the business. Fight Edge at WrestleMania and you'll live forever. And this was amazing. They said Alpha Academy was banned from ringside so they wouldn't influence the main event here. The match runs about 12 and a half minutes. Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens defeats Randy Orton and Riddle. Orton tries to give Rollins a suplex to the announce table, but Owens saves him. Orton suplexes Owens on the table instead. Rollins then immediately hits a suicide dive, and that leads to the break. Orton gives a back suplex to Owens, tags in Riddle. Riddle then follows Pele kick and hits consecutive forearms, overhead suplexes, senton, and a penalty kick, and a bridging German suplex for near fall. Good match action, and I mean, Riddle is still, to this day, one of my favorite talents. He's just been completely wasted by WWE, and then Riddle gets yanked off the top and allows Rollins to hit the double foot stomp for near fall. Owens then hits a senton, and Rollins follows up with a frog splash for near fall. Orton tags in and hits Owens with a clothesline, and a power slam sets up for a double dripping DDT, but Rollins battles out. Orton gives Owens the DDT. Owens then super kicks Orton and stomps on Riddle's bare foot, and Rollins gives Riddle a buckle bomb. Owens follows up with a stunner, and Rollins finishes him off with a curve stomp for a pinfall win. Fun enough match. Alpha Academy now have to defend the titles against both RKO and Owens and Rollins in 2 weeks. I guess that should be enough, but it just feels flat for the end of a Raw show. Anyway, we'll be back with more right after this.